Our heritage is a lasting one to share, a colorful and seemingly never-ending book, gripping chapter after chapter. We visit one of those chapters today as we celebrate Heritage Month. Jamaica Magazine has that and more. I'm Sandra Johnson. Welcome.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, October 14. The House of Representatives has approved extensions to the Zones of Special Operations, ZOSOs, operating in Mount Salem, St. James, Denham Town and Greenwich Town in Kingston, and August Town in St. Andrew. During Tuesday's sitting of the House, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang moved the motion to extend the ZOSOs for a further 60 days, starting the 12th of October. In arguing for the extension, he said its success had manifested in an overall lower crime rate in the communities.
In the case of Mount Salem, there has been a 95% and a 93% reduction in murders and shootings, respectively, for the 1,134 days period, 1st of September 2017 to 8th of October 2020. While the community continues to undergo the process of transformation, it is anticipated that the lessons and benefits derived from this intervention must be carefully assessed so that they may be replicated as we seek to transform more communities across Jamaica.
So far in Denham Town, he says there has been a 25% reduction in murders and 58% reduction in shootings. He adds that there have been no murders or gun crimes reported since the ZOSO was established in Greenwich Town and August Town.
The Social Intervention Committee has completed a comprehensive developmental roadmap for both communities and will be actively engaging and developing intervention to respond to the community needs.
Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries Floyd Green is warning predial thieves that his administration will be taking a zero-tolerance approach to theft of farm produce to ensure offenders face the full brunt of the law. Minister Green issued the warning at one of the stops in his recent cross-country listening tour, where he met with farmers and fisherfolk to hear their concerns and suggestions on matters relating to their respective sectors. The minister says it is clear that predial larceny is one of the leading ills facing the farming sector, stressing that it has evolved from petty theft to a very sophisticated and organized criminal activity which now requires that same level of response. Under the Agricultural Produce Act, persons are not allowed to carry agricultural produce without a valid receipt. Farmers are encouraged to purchase receipt books at any Jamaica Agricultural Society JAS office. The receipt provides a means of traceability at all stages along the value chain and helps the police to verify whether the produce in transit is stolen or legally purchased. Jamaica Promotions Corporation JAMPRO has launched the first phase of a national business portal, NBP, to allow for multiple business-to-government transactions in one online location. President of JAMPRO, Diane Edwards, says the NBP will serve as the central point through which all investments are directed, providing transparency and consistency in government. The portal will connect private investors and other persons with government stakeholders. It allows for the delivery of services such as registering an initiative as an investment project, applying for incentives, and divestment of Crown lands. In the rollout of additional phases over the next year, the platform will allow persons to conduct transactions online, including accessing benefits and applying for licenses and permits. The National Business Portal can be accessed at dobusiness.gov.jm and was built by eGov Jamaica Limited. The University Hospital of the West Indies, UHWI, is investigating local use of a new testing approach for COVID-19, which should significantly increase Jamaica's testing capacity. The UHWI is partnering with global healthcare company Novamed on the method known as pool testing. It was developed by experts in Germany and is currently being investigated as a research project in Jamaica. Medical Chief of Staff at the UHWI, Dr. Carl Bruce, explains that this method uses highly sensitive tests to detect existing positive cases in a single test tube of samples taken from groups of 30 patients. If the group tests positive, the entire samples are retested individually to identify which of the collection tripped the positive result. It has the potential to significantly reduce costs and increase testing capacity while offering faster turnaround time for results delivery. According to founder of Novamed, Dr. David Walcott, this method could allow the university hospital to conduct 4 times its daily testing capacity and, theoretically, save in excess of $1 million over a couple months. Meanwhile, one private sector entity, Sandals Foundation, is supporting government's efforts for safe learning environments with the donation of hand-washing stations at 12 infant and primary schools. Classes are currently being held virtually due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Executive Director at the Sandals Foundation, Heidi Clark, says this donation is to support government's efforts to minimize the risks and spread when students eventually return to the classroom. The construction of the hand-washing stations, which is valued at approximately $22,000, is being done through support from Tito's Handmade Vodka, a spirits company based in the United States. The donation will benefit schools in tourism-dependent communities across St. Anne, St. Mary, Westmoreland, and St. James. The institutions will also receive automatic hand soap dispensers, hand soap and paper towels, signage to encourage proper hand washing, handheld thermometers, and reusable masks for teachers and staff. And finally, Jamaica will join the rest of the globe in celebrating World Statistics Day on October 20, under the theme Connecting the World with Data We Can Trust. World Statistics Day is a United Nations event celebrated every 5 years. Director General of the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, Carol Coy, says the celebration is to highlight the importance of statistics in development.
The theme itself, what it means is that we have to produce statistics that is internationally comparable, statistics that follow international methodologies, international concepts, classifications.
She says the COVID-19 pandemic has also put a spotlight on the importance of collecting and analyzing data.
Because there is the health realm where we need to understand what is happening to persons when they contract virus, but we also need to understand what is happening in the economic, social, and environment sphere of countries. So as governments balance between lives and livelihood, and they make these decisions and measures, how does that affect the economic and social life of persons?
Statin's Director General was speaking at a JIS think tank on October 13. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
How would you want to be treated if you were diagnosed with COVID-19? Not like this.
Them will talk how I'm wicked and if dead, and they behave like I am the one that created the virus. All my friends as well that were positive, them going through even worse than what I'm going through. Persons are calling police on them as well.
Do not allow your fear of COVID-19 to rob you of your humanity. There is no need to shun or victimize persons with the disease or those on the front line.
To mistreat persons that do have it, it's not a good feeling. We don't cause this on ourselves.
We really need to cut the hate and work together as a country, as communities, to overcome.
Let us be understanding with those affected and support each other. Be kind. End the stigma.
The chapter on one of our national heroes, George William Gordon, is our first read or watch. An interesting man of his time, vested in helping the dispossessed, even buying lands to distribute. This Heritage Week, we remember his life and his legacy. Here's a little on why his national hero title is so fitting.
George William Gordon, now Right Excellent George William Gordon, national hero, was born in 1815, the son of a Scottish father and an enslaved Jamaican mother. He got a call to make the world a better place, and for that he was never forgiven. You should know then that conditions in Jamaica then were just unbelievable. people were suffering. 311,000 persons in 1838 enslaved, received their freedom, and were just thrown outside. And what George William Gordon did, he bought lands and he cut up the lands and allowed the poor, the dispossessed, to have access to the land. And his colleagues did not like that. He chastised the governor in meetings right at the space that the governor needed to do more for the people. And the governor didn't like it, called him a mischief maker. And this is the space where George William Gordon came to, as it were, give up himself because he heard they were looking for him. And from here, he was taken to St. Thomas, where he was tried and hanged on the 23rd of October, 1865. And he reached the Friday, and they hanged him the Monday morning. But before he was hanged, he asked for permission to write a letter to his dear wife, Lucy. He had married this lady, Shannon, Lucy Shannon. He married her, and he asked that he could write a letter, and they allowed him to write the letter. That would have been Sunday night, early Monday morning. He wrote the letter to say that he was innocent. And if anything that he did that was bad, was to help poor people.
Practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently using soap and water. Here's how you should do it while conserving water. Turn on the tap to wet your hands, then turn off the pipe. Lather your hands and the tap with soap. Turn on the tap and wash your hands, back, front, and in between fingers. Use some of the water to wash off the tap, then turn it off. Dry your hands with disposable hand towels. If you don't have running water, use a hand rub containing 62% or more alcohol. If hand sanitizers are not available, rubbing alcohol, Dettol, white rum, or household bleach will do the trick. And if all else fails, let hand washing and the handling of potable water be a two-person event. Each person will take turns pouring and washing hands with sitting water. Now is a good time to consider installing a tap on your containers to reduce the risk of water contamination. Faucets can be easily attached to drums, buckets, or 5-gallon water bottles. And to ensure that the outside of the containers are clean when recapping, disinfect it with hand rub containing alcohol that's 62% or more. The 5 R's of water conservation are also necessary to practice. Reduce water wastage by investing in water-saving devices. Reuse water at least twice before discarding. Replace leaking pipes, faucets, and other plumbing equipment. Recycle wastewater and use it for gardening, car washing, or cleaning of public spaces. And reclaim water through rainwater harvesting. We all must play our part to ensure there's water to combat the coronavirus and stave off prolonged drought.
Becoming a landowner is a significant feat for most people. That feeling of entitlement and success of being able to turn your own key and say, "Welcome to my home." This could be you, and the government is doing its part through the Adjudication Services Division of the National Land Agency.
Systematic registration is defined as the process of land titling through a determined jurisdiction, and it's performed on a commune-by-commune basis. Now, what exactly does that mean? It means that it's the methodical and orderly registration of parcels of land in a designated area using the adjudication process. Adjudication is defined as the process through which existing rights in a parcel of land are finally and authoritatively ascertained. Key things to note: adjudication doesn't alter existing rights or create new ones. It merely establishes what rights exist on ground.
Now that we've established the definition of these very important terms, let's get down to the meat of the matter. You have a piece of land, or you've been living on land that you do not have the title for, but have legitimate claims. Let's find out how you can go about becoming certified landowners utilizing the National Land Agency's adjudication services.
Systematic registration may be new to Jamaica, but it's certainly not new to the world. At the National Land Agency, we have a wealth of information on unregistered land parcels in Jamaica. So currently we know that the parishes with the lowest rates of registration are Portland and St. Elizabeth. So we'll definitely be targeting those two parishes. The mandate of the Adjudication Services Division is to assist landowners who have been in open, undisturbed and undisputed possession of their land for upwards of 12 years to claim ownership of their land via systematic registration using the adjudication process. There's a proposed adjudication process for systematic registration, and we have benchmarked other jurisdictions, and the adjudication process will entail the following. The first is the identification of an adjudication area, project area. The next step will look at what are the areas in those parishes where there's a lot of economic activity, or they're near town centers, probably farmlands, where these farmers will be able to benefit from having a certificate of title to use as collateral security. Once an area has been identified, a recommendation will be made to the minister to declare that area as an area for systematic registration.
Surveying will go hand in hand with the adjudication process, so you can look out for the team from the Adjudication Services Division as they will be situated within the selected communities. These teams will be visiting households parcel by parcel, interviewing landowners and investigating whether or not they have been in open, undisturbed and undisputed possession of their land for over 12 years.
The adjudication record, it will be published in a daily newspaper circulating not only in Jamaica but across the diaspora. So it's not only notice to community members and notice to Jamaica, but it is notice to the world that persons are claiming to be the owners of land. Now, let me start with the positive. Where there are no objections to the adjudication record, as the director, I'll be able to issue what is known as an adjudication certificate. And this adjudication certificate will be deemed to be conclusive proof of ownership. This is now the documentary proof that the person on that certificate is in fact the owner of the land. Where there are objections, however, all these objections will be referred to the adjudication committees, and adjudication committees are established in accordance with Section 9 of the Special Provisions Act to determine ownership rights in land.
Now that I've given you the basic information that you need to regularize your status as a landowner, it's now up to you to make that step. All the best.
I encourage the deaf children to have deaf pride, to know that they can. You're on the same level as a hearing person. It doesn't matter that you can't hear. You have a lot of deaf adults who are successful, and you can achieve. You can get the education that you want, you can do anything that you want, you can achieve. Don't feel like you can't because you're deaf.
In believing that nothing is impossible, I have been able to culture a very positive attitude to life, and that positive attitude has worked for me, and I am confident it will work for others. I would want to say to persons with vision impairment and disabilities that it is critical that they become tooled or retooled with the appropriate technologies that can help to drive the way forward so that they can accomplish their vision and their goals.
Children with disabilities, whether you have CP or not, I strongly believe that you have a purpose. My disability has taught me that when it says the sky is the limit, it is. There are times when you're going to fall, but what is to stop you from rising?
Up next, we stop by the Ocho Rios fishing village to look at the recent renovation completed by the Port Authority of Jamaica.
Nestled between the Reynolds Pier and the port of Ocho Rios, the Ocho Rios fishing village is a seaside attraction and eatery and the ultimate chill spot, which was developed by the Port Authority of Jamaica and launched in 2018.
I'm Kim, and today's port call features the Ocho Rios Fishing Village. Today we'll share some insights into the objectives of the development, give you a status update, and also tell you our future plans.
Welcome to the Ocho Rios Fishing Village, the ultimate chill spot. This has been a project of the Port Authority of Jamaica. Let me show you around.
All right, William, tell us. The Port Authority of Jamaica made a significant investment into this development, the Ocho Rios Fishing Village. What were the initial concerns and considerations that led to this development and the reason for PAG making such a huge investment in this facility?
Well, the most important thing as a Port Authority we're concerned about is the guest experience on the ground. And what we realized by feedback from the cruise lines and what notices we'd picked up online and so on, was that the guest experience on the in Ocho Rios itself needed some lifting. And when we started to identify where the negative elements were, some of it was directly related to what was the little fishing village. This wasn't the fishermen, but rather some bad elements that had become embedded into the location.
When the initial development of Ocho Rios as a tourism destination was taking place, the fishermen that occupied the actual bay were transferred here on an agreement with the UDC based on what was happening down here, because it wasn't just fishing activities that were taking place. A lot of illicit things, like people were smuggling drugs to tourists, both stopover arrivals and cruise passengers coming in. And there was a lot of complaints coming from the cruise line based on the experience. And the PAJ side fit to enter into an agreement to bring together some semblance of order down here and a structured development. So in 2015, November 27th to be precise, a tripartite agreement was formed between the Port Authority of Jamaica, UDC, and the Fishermen's Benevolent Society, where you saw the whole transformation of this area here. The Port Authority went in, bought the rights from the UDC to the land, and a part of the tripartite agreement with the fisher folks that were here is that Port Authority would acquire their interest through a compensation package to them, right? But they would be given the exclusive rights to still operate from here under the rules and management of the Port Authority. So hence the agreement that the fishermen are still here and the property was developed.
Since the development, quite a lot of more people coming down here. And the people them love down here bad. The people them know say when they come, then get the food and the fish them fresh, just from the sea to the pot.
In the development concept, the consultant, right, decided how best to utilize the available land, right, and features that existed on the property, right, have led us to design these two shops, right, elevated. If you notice, it is much higher than the rest of shops. In doing that, they tried to use all the natural features of the land. And that includes the terrain, the river stream that you have here.
The Ocho Rios Fishing Village is the ultimate chill spot because you have oceanic sea view, you have an estuary, you have good food.
first we were unwilling because we thought they would go give the place to the Indian and the Chinese and that we couldn't afford it. But now we see that they give it back to us, the local. So it's a great thing. And well, we can afford and we have less harassment down here because you have security and everything is different, much different now and safer.
You've asked for it, and now it's here. The Jamaica Information Service has updated its mobile app. It's easier to navigate, loads even faster than before, talking about top speed, operates seamlessly across platforms, and we're a creative bunch, so it's much easier on the eyes. Now you have quick and easy access to news stories, television and radio features, and a variety of photos right at your fingertips. And you'll get push notifications when new content is uploaded. Download the app on your Apple and Android devices now and get news you can use. Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica on the go.
We want to highlight a bit of what our government is doing to help fight COVID-19. It's a lot, so we'll only be sharing a few. Here goes. Number 1, the Cornwall Regional Hospital has opened a 24-bed ward for COVID-19 patients. This, of course, increases hospital capacity to treat COVID-19 patients in St. James and the West at large. Number 2, COVID-19 Mental Health Response Program. Now, the Ministry of Health and Wellness will be implementing this program to mitigate the development of mental health issues caused or made worse by the pandemic. 3, Welfare Program for Public Health Workers. This $75.8 million initiative is expected to strengthen staff well-being in light of the pandemic and its impact on workers in the sector. And 4, increased public education. The ministry's team of community health aides has been engaging with citizens across the island to distribute masks, sanitizers, and educational materials on safety measures to reduce the risk of contracting and spreading the virus. As government does its part, we encourage you to do yours. Let's all work to stop the spread of COVID-19 and make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise our families, and do business. So after a few chapters, we're putting a pause on today's read. Let's continue the stories tomorrow at the same time on this same station. But until then, watch some past Jamaica magazines on our YouTube channel. And since you're already online, stop by the JIS website at jis.gov.jm and follow us on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. From all of us here, I'm Sandra Johnson. See you soon.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.